Okay, so this video is going to teach you about the first photographic process that we tried in art. What I actually did first is I taught the kids a couple of words. One is light sensitive, which means it's a surface that changes when light hits it. And the other one is a photograph. Most kids were able to tell me that a photograph is a picture that you take with a camera. However, I changed the meaning to a picture which was made with light. Photo in photograph actually means light in Greek. And the kids learned that. So to demonstrate this, what I did was I took a piece of photo paper, which I have right here. And this is light sensitive paper, which means that it will change when the light hits it. And then I actually took a piece of cardstock and cut it into a heart shape and placed it on top. And then I put it in kind of a bright part of the room. So I'm going to go do that now so that you guys can see what it looks like in the end. So then I explained that we're going to make our own light sensitive surface. Now to make a light sensitive surface, you can use photographic paper. You can also use anthotype paper, but we're going to make our own using ground up spinach, okay? I have the ground up spinach here in a can, and actually you can see it's kind of getting gross. It is a nice green color, and actually at the bottom there's some sediment from the leaves and stuff that's been ground up. I did strain it, but you don't always get every little bit out of the spinach. We actually tried spinach and blackberries, but we found that the spinach worked a lot better, so I'm going to show you that. So then we took a piece of paper. We used two types of paper. I experimented with it a little bit. We used cardstock and watercolor paper, and we actually got two different results, so I'll have to show you those. But basically I had the kids take a few pieces of paper. They actually got 4 pieces of paper. 2 were meant for blackberries and 2 were meant for spinach. And they painted the entire piece of paper with those emulsions. Okay, so they just took the spinach and painted it on there. Now it does come out kind of light, a light green color. And what I had them do is I had them paint one and then move on to the next one and let this one dry a little bit so that they could come back and put another coat on it. It does tend to buckle and bend, as most paper does when you put this much liquid onto it. And eventually, after 2 or 3 coats, they changed into this kind of color. Okay, you can see it almost looks like watercolor paint, which I think is kind of interesting. And then all they did was they took some cardstock paper and they cut it into shapes, and I asked them to make basically a face using just simple shapes. So a lot of kids chose to do triangle eyes, things like that. And then a lot of them actually, we did these around Halloween time, so a lot of them thought about what their pumpkin looked like and they made that kind of face, which is fine. So basically all they did was they did, let's see, I'll do a big smile like that. I taught them actually that a smile can be easily made with just a letter D. And then you can actually add teeth or whatever you want to it. But for now, I'm just going to keep it a letter D. And then for the eyes, let's see, I'm going to do 2 big ovals just to keep it simple. And then all they did was they cut them out. Just like that. Now, what they had to do was they had to attach it to their light sensitive paper. We tried a couple ways of doing that, and we found that just clear tape worked the best. Just like this kind of clear tape worked the best. So we took our piece of paper, put it down, and keep in mind they had to do this 4 times, so they did really keep the faces kind of simple. They placed them where they wanted them to go, and then I took the tape and taped their pieces down. Just like that. And I had them tape them down real good so that they would get an accurate line. Just like this. Now, after we did that, we actually taped them in the windows. I actually took a few home and taped them on my sunroom windows because I thought it got better light than the art room windows. So the results were a little bit mixed because I did use two different types of paper. The first type is actually the same type I did this example on, which is a watercolor paper, and they came out kind of like this. You can see basically what happened is after a long period in the sun, the background faded and the parts that were covered stayed nice and dark, so you can still see the face. I also used cardstock paper, which came out a little differently. They actually changed color a lot. Okay, and I think this is from oxidation. I think the cardstock didn't absorb the spinach, so what happened was the spinach stayed on top. It oxidized, it turned brown, basically it rotted, and actually if you smell it, it smells funny, and kind of turned out like this. But you can see all the little, what's cool about this one is the spinach did kind of stay on top, so you can almost see little bits of the leaves in there, which is kind of cool. So that is how they turned out. Let's check on my light sensitive paper and see how I actually did this at the end of the demonstration with the kids, just like I did here. Same piece of paper, same little heart, and when I move the heart, you can see the surface change, and what happened is the image of the heart is on the paper. And what that did was the heart blocked out the light, so no light got just on that spot. Every place else on the photographic paper changed to a kind of dark gray blue color. This is the same paper I used with 5th grade for the pinhole cameras, which you'll see coming up soon, and